that was very informative. I learned a lot of things I did not know before, so I hope you all did too. So I'm actually going to move into talking about Start DD's new individual service plan. We're going to talk a little bit about person-centered thinking, which is now required by the new Service and Support Administration rule, which required us to change our individual service plan and assessment to make sure we met that rule. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the changes in the individual service plan and within the assessment. Person-centered planning and the way that we are writing our service plans now is very different for our SSA department. So we are currently in coaching with the learning community. They've coached many other counties across Ohio, so we are a work in progress. And we will continue to strive to be as efficient as possible and also as person-centered as possible to make sure that we're hearing everyone on the team and that we're making sure that our service plans really reflect the individuals and families' wants, needs, and focus on someone's strengths and abilities rather than focus on so much of someone's limitations. So the first thing that I want to share with you is just a short video that for me really sums up what person-centered planning is. And it's something I've showed with my staff many times. It's something that we've showed at our provider meetings that we have monthly to try to connect everyone. And it's called the 100-0 principle. And it is just a simple premise, and that is person-centered planning is give 100% of all you have every single day to the individuals and families that we have the honor and privilege to serve and expect nothing in return. So that for me just really sums up what our service and support administrators should be doing. 100% expect nothing in return. Service plans are about making sure that we're compliant and that we've checked off all of our boxes that need to happen per the rule, right? But what's more important? The individuals and the families that we serve every day. Hearing the individuals, hearing their families, making sure that we're having positive team meetings and that we're listening to people. And that's what we've really tried to accomplish with our individual service plan. The new SSA rule identifies that individual service plans have to be person-centered. They have to focus on the person's unique strengths and abilities. It also has to be the primary plan to assure health and welfare, right? We've got to include the services and supports that someone is obtaining. We have to balance that, okay? And this is one of the main reasons that in our new system, team members are getting the service plan and the assessment. Our assessment has been updated quite a bit. It's a very thorough, comprehensive assessment. And the past providers didn't have that. In our new system, we've tried really hard to make sure we are balancing being person-centered, but also making sure we're keeping people safe. Everybody knows what this individual needs to be safe every day and live a healthy, happy life. So what's in the new ISP? We have to identify natural supports, which I'm sure most of us have heard before. Those are the supports someone receives that are not paid for. That's mom and dad helping, or maybe grandma or a neighbor. It has to include what's important to a person, and that's what makes the person happy. We have to include what's important for a person, and that's what everybody around that person says they need to be safe. What does mom say? You need to be safe. What does your provider say that you need to assist you to be safe every day? We have to include the path to employment, regardless, and that is a requirement directly from the state. We also have to include medication administration status as applicable. So if someone's getting assistance taking medication, we have to include that. Our ISP is electronic, and over the past several months, we have worked a lot to make our software link so that we're doing less duplication. We find that when we keep saying the same things over and over, but in different places, it leaves so much room for us to type something wrong or say something incorrectly. So our plan actually, the important 2 and 4 information linked to outcomes, and that's a new word you'll hear constantly. It is the state's new word for goals. So when we say outcomes, that means goals. What's different for me tomorrow than it is today? What do I want to accomplish with my family, with my provider, independently in the coming year? The plan also identifies action steps and the services and supports someone needs to keep them safe. Action steps are what help the person reach their desired outcome. So those are a little bit different for us. So let's say someone's outcome is, this is a favorite, I want to go to Disney. That's a big one that we see all the time. Or I want to go to the Bahamas, okay? Or maybe it's something more simple. I want to go to the mall 1 time a month, something of that nature. The action step clearly identifies how is your team going to help you reach that outcome. And so that might mean going to the mall might mean transportation. Someone's going to help you with that. Going to the Bahamas might mean learning how to budget so you can save some money, okay? Things of that nature. Support considerations are also new. Support considerations follow the actions, and these are ideas to consider when you support someone. For me, these are the things everyone on the team knows about the individual just in their head, right? Everybody knows Michael likes to be called Mike, but we never write it down anywhere. And then the staff change, or they're on vacation and a new staff is there. And they're saying, hey Michael, hey Michael. Michael doesn't want to answer. He only wants to be called Mike, right? We have to make sure people know that information, right? Because just like everybody knows when I walk in the office, I gotta have my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I have to have it every morning. If I don't, it's not gonna be a good day. Everybody knows that, everybody remembers that. We're all the same, right? We all have the things that we really like and that we really don't like. So that support consideration is really important for us. The ISP is based on our assessment, and the assessment is called the About Me, For Me assessment. The planning process is a continuous review that's documented on our service review form. The state used to call service review monitoring, so some of you might know that term of monitoring. It's where the SSA basically checks that what's in the assessment and the service plan is happening, where we come out and check on things and make sure you're working towards your outcomes, but also that providers are following that service plan and assessment. Our service plan also identifies the service budget. We felt that was really important to include within the service plan what services are being delivered and how much those services cost. The individual service plan uses outcomes and actions that, one, reflect the results of the assessment. That's required by the rule. We assess someone, we find out, what do you need help with? What do you want help with? What are the skills that you need to develop? And our services should reflect that, right? Of course, we have to assure health and welfare. We have to assist the individual to engage in meaningful and productive activities, support community connections, assist the individual to improve self-advocacy skills, and ensure achievement of desired outcomes. So we have to be following up on these things. We can't just put outcomes in the service plan. We have to make sure, how are we helping you reach your goal? Is it going well? Do you want to change your goal? We have to address conflicts between what's important to someone and what's important for someone. And this happens very often. Sally Smith says at the meeting, I want to go to the Bahamas. But mom's in the background saying, no, she can't go by herself to the Bahamas. So we have to address those things. So that might mean the SSA, Service and Support Administrator, might say, hey Sally, what do you like about the Bahamas? What is it that you like? And we're finding when we ask these questions, we learn things we never knew. Sally really didn't want to go to the Bahamas. She likes sand. And when we asked, why do you like going there? And she said sand. We said, well, is there another way you can hang out and be by the sand? Lo and behold, we find out there's a beach by the house and they have sand. It's asking those questions and digging a little bit deeper rather than just saying, hey, what do you want to do next year? Right? That's really important for us to find out what people really want, but also know that sometimes there are health and safety issues and we have to work around those. We have to address risks and include supports to minimize those risks. We have to integrate all sources of services and supports, including natural supports and alternative services. So if services are happening outside of our system, we still need to include those within our service plans. That's why many of you will see when individuals are receiving core nursing services in the community, they're in the service plan. That would be a good example. We have to reflect services and supports that are consistent with efficiency, economy, and quality of care, and we have to review them regularly. Distribution. We've been asking all of our providers to get electronic access, which means when our SSAs are done typing up the plan and they hit finalize, the provider gets an email, they're able to get that plan and assessment immediately. When I started in December, we had 5 providers, we're now up to 67. So we're really, really proud of that. It is a tremendous effort on our SSA's end, and it's a tremendous effort on our providers' end, and we're just really excited that we have such a positive relationship with our providers in this county that they're willing to get that electronic access. And we hear from many of them that it's helpful to them as well. Distribution by rule means we have to have the plan to the provider 15 days prior to the start of the span. And that electronic access really helps us because we usually give ourselves about a 5-day turnaround for mailing it out. So many of our guardians, family members, and even still some of our providers and other team members that don't have electronic access still get a mailed plan. But it has certainly helped us, cut down on the cost of mailing all the plans and printing all the plans, and it's also helped on the provider end for them to have that immediate access. The review process, again, this is what we formally call monitoring. This is where we're checking to make sure services are happening. One thing that's really important is that based on the new rule, how we review someone's services is based on what they want. So at the team meeting, the SSA is asking, how often do you want me to review your services? We identify that in the plan, and then we have to increase it if something changes. If there's a major MUI, a major unusual incident, if a provider changes, if services changes, if things are going on, we should be increasing those reviews to make sure everything is okay. Our service reviews have to occur with the active participation of the individual and the team. We should be talking to everybody, right? We should be asking the individual, how's it going? We should be talking to the parents. Everything going okay? Do you have any concerns? We should be talking to the provider. How are things going? Do you need any further assistance? Things like that. And we have to focus on the achievement of outcomes, and that is new. In the past, we've typically just looked at services and supports. Now we also have to look at, are you meeting that goal? Are you working towards it? Do you just hate it now that you have it in your plan and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore? That's fine. Tell me what you want to do now. But it shouldn't be a whole year that we wait for you or your mom to come and say, I don't want to work on this anymore, right? We're trying to make sure that things are happening more regularly. Our assessment, called the About Me, For Me assessment, it's completed in its entirety, and it was completed in its entirety this year because there were so many changes within it. For future years, an overview will be completed so that we're making sure we're not having such long meetings. The assessment reviews based specifically on the SSA role. It reviews rights, self-determination, physical well-being, which is health, emotional well-being, material well-being, which focuses on money and finances, and employment, personal development, interpersonal relationships, and social inclusion. Those are the specific areas within our assessment, and they match the role verbatim. Some assessment updates. For each area within the assessment, the service and support administrator will ask the individual in their team, do you need or want help in this area? Okay? That's the basic assessing of that specific area. If somebody lives at home with mom and dad and they're in an area that mom and dad are assisting with, the SSA has been trained and they're really working hard on saying, okay, I've assessed enough, mom and dad are helping, I'm gonna identify family support and move on to the next section. Because we don't need to go and ask all of those questions. And that's something we have heard a lot from families. I have to answer 20 questions about the things that I do every day, and I'd really rather focus on something else. So we heard you loud and clear, and that is something that we are working on through training with staff and also updating that assessment. So again, if someone doesn't need or want services in that area, we don't do it, and then it doesn't populate. But what that means is that in the past, sometimes we had a lot of just all white pages. That should be gone. Our software company fixed that. So if you don't click on a certain area, it won't populate. It's just simply not there. It just looks better, right? So you're not getting a 20-page plan and five of the pages have a one-liner on them. Okay, those are a lot of things that technically we worked on with our new service plan. These are some additional upgrades that we made to our assessment. Each area, so after self-determination, it has important 2 and important 4. So the service and support administrator can start working with the team to summarize what's important to you, makes you happy in this area. What's important for you, needs to keep you safe in this area. This is based on the team meeting. It's also based on information that family, provider, individual give prior to the meeting in conversations and discussions and things of that nature. Important to information, some common examples would be important relationships, cultural practices, favorite places to go. Important for information include health and welfare issues, okay? This typically, again, comes from the people around them. All of these summaries link to the end of our assessment and then link to our service plan. So again, we're not doing that duplication that has caused some issues for us before because of just constant typing. Everything links, so it makes sense. We've assessed, we've talked with you about your needs and your wants. It now goes directly into the service plan and we can talk about, hey, this is what you told me is important to you and for you. What are the goals you want based on these things? What do you want to do in the coming year? And then let's look at what services and supports do you need to meet those goals and be healthy and safe and live a happy life every day. MUI, major unusual incident in the assessment. When person-centered planning came out, the state very clearly came out and told us, these are some things you can put here, these are some things you don't need to include within the service plan. And one of those things was actually MUIs. And we decided as a county that we wanted to include MUI within the assessment, that we felt it was important when there are major unusual incidents, that we should be able to keep a summary of those. And then of course, if something is identified within that, like a service change or a provider change, or there's a major trend or pattern, like something keeps happening over and over again, then we update the service plan. This is new, and it's really helped the SSAs to really have a running log, because when MUIs are occurring, let's say for example, someone has 5 hospitalizations, we have it all within one area, and it's a running log, so you can start to see, hey, I've seen 5 hospitalizations, we probably need to meet and talk about what's going on. Is there something we need to change? What can we do more to help the situation so we can prevent this from happening again? It's just a nice way for us to make sure that our technology was helping keep people safe. The assessment is also electronic, which is also new, and is very exciting for us, because now when we finalize the assessment and then the ISP, they both go out. Services are based on the assessment, the service plan, and what you know about the person. That's included on our consent pages and is in some new language from the state. The state has said, you know, we have to include wording that says it's the service plan, it's the assessment, but it's also what you know about the person. Again, if you don't have electronic access, you'll get a mailed copy. Team meetings. Our team meetings should be happening very differently. As I said, we're a work in progress and we're in coaching right now. So we're really focusing on having team meetings about the person and focusing on that person. That they should be positive. We want to discuss the person's strengths, goals, and achievements. We have started a new process with a pre-meeting is what we're calling it. And it is a short pre-meeting with the individual. Many of our individuals have wanted to invite mom or dad or their friend, and some people have just wanted to do it one-on-one with the SSA. But it's a short period of time before the meeting. Some individuals have not wanted it to be before the meeting, they want it to be a week or 2 before, something of that nature. We are honoring what people want. It's a time to spend quality time with the individual and talk about, hey, what's going on? What do you want to talk about at your meeting? What don't you want to talk about at your meeting? And how are things going? We have several discovery tools is what we're calling them, where they're filling out an assessment with the person and whomever they want to be with them that really gauges that. One of those is our life wheel that identifies several different life areas like money, like happiness, like recreational activities, and we help the individual to say how happy they are in those areas. It's been really successful for us thus far. We've had some individuals not want to do it, and that's fine. We've had some individuals want their whole team there to participate. We've had some individuals where in meeting and completing this, we learned more about them than we've ever learned before. We recently had an individual that had a family member in another state that we didn't even know they had. And they've been wanting to visit this family member for a very long time. And just by spending time with them and not focusing on everything in the ISP, we learned that. And now we know, hey, we're gonna help you. Let's see what we can do to help you visit this family member out of state. So it's been really successful for us thus far. And it's nice to be able to offer people, you can do this if you want, but you certainly don't have to, okay? Again, they're talking about their wants, their services, how often they want to meet, where they want to meet. They can also discuss what's working for them and what's not working for them. We then have our team meeting, and of course, we have to do everything we have to do. We have to go over our services and supports and the actions and all the things that we have to check off on our lovely SSA checklist to make sure we're compliant. But we're trying to make it as positive and as efficient as possible, so we're not having 4-hour meetings. And that's something that we're really working on, getting everything done within a reasonable amount of time and as positively as possible. We are asking at the beginning of each meeting if everyone can go around and say a positive about the person. We find that to be a really great way to start our meetings. And it's just nice, it peps you up, right? I want to come into a room where you tell me nice things about me and then start my meeting, right? That actually, that information goes directly to the cover page of the service plan.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you all, but when I see a service plan, that's what I want to see. I want to see positives about the person. I want to see they're funny. I want to see they're a hard worker. I want to see that they love life. These are the things we see now when we get our service plans. There's also a picture on the cover page, and that's been really interesting to see thus far. I would say that the number one thing we found is that people love their pets. And they don't want a picture of themselves on their plan, they want a picture of their pet. So, but they can give a picture of themselves. We've had some people draw a picture, and we've had some people not want a picture at all. That would be me. Wouldn't want a picture, maybe a picture of my dog, but not me. So it's nice to have those options for people, and it's nice to see a service plan with positives about the person and a picture that identifies them. Of course, as we already talked about, we'll talk about the assessments. We have to do our annual paperwork and review services, talk about risks. We have to develop those outcomes, those goals, and we have to talk with the team about, okay, let's work together, team. How are we going to help this person reach their outcome? And of course, we have to talk about the services and supports that someone needs to keep them safe. So just to tell you a little bit of information about how we got to where we are today, I actually started here on December 1st. And I think within the first 2 weeks, we had a Kaizen event. And that is a value stream mapping where Kent State University came in and helped us map our individual service plan process. And we literally took a wall from that phone all the way to this PowerPoint, and we mapped our whole process, every step that we do. It was amazing to see that we had 301 steps within our process. And we then took that process and we looked at what's adding value, what do we need based on role, what do we just want to have in there that we can help people live a happy life, right? And we took all of those things and pushed it all together and created a more efficient process that focuses on the individual and their family. Through that, we decreased the process time by 86%. We actually went down to 14 steps. And we had an 81% reduction, so the process time went down by 86%, and the steps went down by 81%. So really big numbers for us to see just by really looking at our whole process and then deciding, okay, moving forward, how do we want it to be? How would individuals want it to be? How do families want it to be? We also had a person-centered planning committee. And in that committee, several SSAs that just wanted to be involved came together. And when I first started, we sent out surveys to everyone. Just a quick 5-question survey that actually came out of the Kent State University mapping to ask people, hey, how are things going? We actually read every single survey. We took the time to read every single one, and we really took that information to heart to listen to what people receiving services, their families, their providers, our own START DD staff were saying, took that to heart and really used that as we developed this new process. So in closing, I just want to show this last video. It's a tearjerker. Every time I watch it, I want to cry. You've seen it before? It's a great video. So this is actually, it's in another language, but it's so powerful that it doesn't even matter. And for me, it's a great ending because at the beginning we talked about giving 100% and expecting nothing in return, which we want to do every day to serve all of you wonderful people, right? Because we're all a part of the START DD family. We want to give 100%, we want to expect nothing in return. But for me, this video shows what we get in return. And what we get every day is more amazing than any job I have ever worked in. Because we get to help people and create relationships and connections with people that help our individuals every day. I tell my staff all the time, if ever you go home and think, what did I do today? You have no idea what you did today. You helped someone get a job. You helped someone work at their workshop. You listened to a parent, right? You talked to someone's grandma and helped them through a situation, and you have no idea how all of those little things just help people every day, and how honored we are to work in this field every day, that what we get back is so much more than we can ever give. So I hope this video sums that up for you.
เขาจะได้อะไร ถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวัน เขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลย ไม่ได้รวยขึ้น ไม่ได้ออกทีวี ไม่มีใครรู้จัก ไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้น เพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้ คือได้แค่ความรู้สึก ได้เห็นความสุข ได้เข้าใจ ได้ความรัก ได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิม ในชีวิตคุณ อะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
ให้ประกันชีวิตเชื่อ
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for coming. Oh, we have a question, yes.